Let's warm up. Okay, hands on our hips, circles. We're talking about mount offense today. We'll discuss cross chokes and a little bit of neck hug sequence that Zach and I were just doing before we joined you guys. And we'll review what we did on Monday. Thank you, Juan. You guys, when it comes to cross chokes, from the top of the mount, all kinds of people, knees, have trouble. So hopefully we can share some insights that will help your hands slide into somebody's collar much easier today. Other direction. Ankles, roll the ankles a little bit and then stretch the ankle. Fingers, big flexion and big extension of the hands. Flexion, extension, other ankle, and now my wrists. My wrists are in flexion. Yes, extension for my ankle, extension for my wrist. It feels so good on my forearms. Okay, elbows, flexion of the elbows, extension of the elbows. Good, one time. Now, tension throughout the arm. Tension, raise the arm. Up, up, all the way around. And then back the other direction. Other arm. And other direction. Great. Tuck your chin now, here. And relax. I hold it in for 3-4 seconds. And then I relax. And relax. Last one. Relax. Okay, let's do an infinity sign now. With your chin and your nose, you kind of draw an infinity sign. Other direction. Great. Let's go to the ground. Squatting down, breaking the fall slowly, and rocking. Rocking, rocking. Go ahead and as you rock up, fold your leg in, go up on your shin, push your hips forward, and go back. We'll do 4, 2, 3, and 4. Good. And sitting down and legs to one side and circles. So cross strokes from the mount. There's 2 kinds of people on the bottom of the mount. There is the person that pays attention to the first hand that you insert in the collar. And then there are people who pay attention to the second hand, other side, that you insert in the collar. And for us, it's much easier to choke somebody who focuses on the first hand that you put in the collar. So whenever I mount on somebody, I kind of think about, like, what can I do to bring attention and make the person want to grab my first hand. And I'll show you right now what I do. But first, let's go to our knees and do this extension of the ankles a couple times, and then tuck your toes in and then sit here, which I very, very rarely, I can't think of any time that I do this when I'm grappling, but I know that it's good for my feet and for my toes, so I do it now. But I see it quite often where people are in positions and they have their toes tucked underneath like this. It's not what I never do it. Maybe if my legs are extended, I might sprawl like that. But sitting on my heels with my toes tucked under, the last time I did this was never in grappling. But if you do it and it works for you, that's okay. So here we are. Zach is laying down. You guys are sitting comfortably. And we're talking about my hand. So if I just put my hand on the collar, Zach could potentially just grab my arm and roll me. But if I put my hand on the collar he could also block my other arm. So those would be the two behaviors. One, I put it in, he grabs it. Either incorrectly, like not incorrectly, but just over the top, boom, or behind, doesn't matter. Or my hand might go in and he covers and he blocks my other arm. This is probably the more annoying behavior when they block and they block my second hand. So what I've found is that if my hand goes like this, if I do this, I give the illusion that I don't want him to grab my arm. And obviously it works even better against people who only know grab the arm. And yes, most people don't catch cross chokes because most people down here will grab the arm that you put in the collar, and nobody wants to get their arm grabbed. It's quite the opposite. I want him to grab my arm. So my hand does this. Grab my arm. I create this, and then, look, he's got it. And now my second hand enters. So you see how I move, and then I leave it. He grabs my arm. As he grabs it, boom, my second hand comes underneath. Other side, my hand goes in, grab it. And now I give it to him, and then my second hand enters. So the drill, just by yourselves, I'm on my knees, my hand goes, boop, and then I let my hand stay in, and my second hand comes underneath. And now I'm back to neutral. I'm in the mount, we're on our knees. Obviously, our hands are gonna enter in a cross, because the collar's across. So I put my hand in, one, and it's out. And then I leave it in, and my second hand enters. Both my thumbs are up like this. Now, when you do this, it would be nice if you put your hand in and took it out. And then as you put it in again, your second hand entered simultaneously. Instead of hand, and then go, which is kind of what I did with Zach. But now we're gonna speed it up. So now my hand is in the collar, grab it, can't. And then maybe I switch, but look at, as my hand goes in, my second hand entered. So as one hand goes, right now my hand is what, 20%. It's gonna slide in, let's say in 3 seconds. Even though it's not 3 seconds, it's 3 clicks. 1, 2, hold on, and then 3. When it's at about 2 clicks in, the second hand does the same shot underneath, but in 1 click. The speed is much faster. So I go in and out, grab my wrist, and now my hand goes, boom, and the other one entered. So this one enters in 3 clicks, freeze. It's occupying his attention as the other one comes in underneath the radar. Much faster. And that's what you learned. You're basically, we're taking advantage of the fact that the person on the bottom usually is only focused on one thing. So hand in, hand out. And now hand in, boom, hand in. So they both end together. Hand in, hand out. And now my hand goes in, boom, and together. And they both end. Okay? And when you finish the cross choke, it's tough to do it by yourself, but you do want to put your hooks in when you finish it. You want to put full hip pressure and then squeeze with your chest and your body laying on the person. But right now it's more about the hand speed. Next, now Zach is down and my hand's on the collar. I know that when Zach has his arms up like this, I know that if I come over the top, what's he gonna do? He's gonna grab my wrist right there. So now watch this. As my hand comes over, watch the arm. Go ahead, grab it. You saw what I did? It just did this. All anticipating. I already know. I've done the reconnaissance to understand that, and we teach this, right? This catch. But we know that when we come over, boom, they're gonna grab it. So there's tricks for me for coming over effectively and coming under effectively. When I come over, as he goes to grab it, I circle my hand. Now, when I circle it, go ahead. It's almost like his arm, it gets pushed out that way. Do it again. So, boom, and then I grab it. As soon as I block this, he's gonna wanna come underneath to go back to his neck. But watch this now. I come over, I hide it, and I block this. Come under, I block him here. And so go back one more time. As we land, one, right before he goes under, I drop. As it's happening, I'm inserting my other hand in the collar. Now Zach tries to go under my elbow. When he can't, take it out right there, freeze. Boom, enter. How do you feel about this, Zach? What would you do? If I came over, what would you do? You do that. Now, it's gonna be tough for this hand, because when I do this, freeze. You see, whack real quick. The moment this hand goes, it's handing off this hand's responsibility. Grab my arm. There. So this enters easy. Now, Zach, come under fast. He got under. Go back. Now, go under again. Elbow. The moment he stops trying, freeze. Boom. Hand goes inside. Let's play this game. We're in the mount. We have our hand on the collar. We come over the top. Right before they grab it, circle your hand. Like kind of, boom, take it away. Come over the top, circle it. Come over the top, circle it. The other hand pushes it out. Once that other hand pushes it out, then the original hand goes in the collar. Now, the person's arm is out here. They want to come under. Boom, drop your elbow so they can't come under. And then once they stop trying to go under, boom, insert your next hand. Yes. Again, it looked good. I saw 3 or 4 of your arm movements. They were all in sync with mine. Again, my hands in the collar. I come over the top. As I'm coming over, before they grab my wrist, circle it to almost leave them hanging midair. And then my other hand, boom, swipe it out. Let's go with the collar. Now, the hand that came over the top originally grabs the person's collar. Good. Once that hand is holding their collar, I'm over here and my arm gets ready to drop. Why? Because they want to come under my elbow. Don't let them. Once they give up, open the elbow and then boom, insert hand number 2. Yeah, are you using a bear right there, Sonny? That's great. Anything, you guys. I can... Look. Who needs Zach? Look, here I am. My hand's in the collar. This hand is defending. As I come over, I swipe it. Boom, I push the arm out. My hand's in the collar. This hand wants to come under my elbow. No, I block it. Once I block it, boom, second hand in. Look at you guys pulling your gis off. You see? Monkey do, monkey see, monkey do. You guys, try that with the gi if you want. I'm going to do it again. Last one. Hand on the collar. Hand on the collar. I come over the top. They're about to grab it. I remove it. Swipe it. Let go of the collar. Swipe it. Other hand on the collar. You want to go under my elbow? Block it. Elbow down. And then once they stop trying, retract and insert hand number 2. Yes. Good shot right there. Good fast hand, Sonny. Yes. Zach is laying down. So this game, obviously the big, grab my hand. Yeah. There's many times where I go and I couldn't circle my hand. It's okay. I know that, look at that. Interesting, right? Crazy, yeah. Interesting, grab it. Yeah. It's like almost like a wrist release. Come under, block, block, block. Stop trying. Boom. Here, hand. Okay. Now, if Zach blocks my arm right here, if he blocks my arm, if I want to go underneath and shoot my hand inside, his whole movement is to really block with his palm and even his other arm to create to congest the area so my hand does not have a free entry. It's very hard to get in here. So sometimes when I feel someone blocking my arm, I retract and I go under, freeze. When I land right here, my hand kind of grabs the collar kind of weak and his arm is still in place. there's a movement that I do right now where it's going to be tough for you to feel the effectiveness of it, but I'm going to remove my hand. Well, I'll leave it in one time. So Zach, you're pinching on my wrist, right? How do you feel right now?
I feel safer now.
He feels safer, but now, go ahead. How do you feel now?
Not good.
So he didn't really feel as safe as he wasn't really as safe as he felt he was. And the reason why is because he is simply pinching my wrist with his wrist. If I lock my arm out and I kind of, I can move in. And now how deep does my arm have to move in? Not that deep, but it's interesting how, I'm in. My hand probably went in half of what I would like it to go in, but that's enough. Hold my wrist. How do you feel?
Not good.
He feels dead. He's done. So, knowing that when your hand gets stopped, okay, how far am I from choking him? I am like 5 inches, not 10 inches. If you believe your second hand, relax, has to go all the way back, it's discouraging. But if you know that he's not holding my wrist, he is simply using his wrist to create friction on my wrist, I can use gravity and structure of my arm to punch my hand at least halfway. And now this hand was already in, and now I trust that it's enough. So, again, understanding the why you're getting stopped. It's because the person that's defending, one hand is blocking the bicep, one hand is doing this. They're simply dropping their wrist on your hand, but you just go like this, boom, 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 and you punch your arm in deeper. So everybody put one hand on the collar. And now my free hand opens up and it shoots underneath, boom. But it gets stopped about 10 inches from the ground, okay? Now, I lock my arm out. I go like this, and I lock out the arm that is caught. And when I do that, I can now punch, 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 and then I grab, yes. So when you get stopped in your tracks, if the feeling is, they stopped me, you'll probably pull your hand out. But if the feeling is, they slowed me down, but the collar is right there, let me give a little more effort, you'd be surprised what can be accomplished by locking the arm out and trusting your body weight. One hand on the collar. One hand is in the collar. Second hand comes back and then comes in, boom, shoots in. They stopped you. Lock your arm out. Bounce, 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 bounce. Get the hand in deeper. Yes. And then you shoot your hooks in and boom. Chest forward, elbows back to squeeze. One more time. Hand is in the collar. Maybe you come over first. And then from over you go whoop, under. But they stopped you. And now bounce, 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 bounce. Hand in the collar. Yes. And then finish. So I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I've done it a fair amount of times where there's a certain shake and a certain bounce just to help my grip advance. Like I said, could be 3, 4, 5 inches. Just enough to where the hand can be effective in completing the cross choke. Great. Any questions on these cross chokes? So those are probably 2 of the most common techniques that I'm using right now when it comes to getting both hands in the collar. When you have hand and collar and grapevines to finish, do you put your head in the ground? Great question. I don't put my head in the ground anymore. I used to when I was younger, but when you lift your head up, you actually apply more hip pressure. So I'm anchoring to his upper body through my grips, and I'm shooting my hips forward and I'm pulling up. When you put your head down, you lessen your hip pressure. And again, somebody who has more explosive bridges and a taller person, if I'm mounted on Henry, he's gonna bridge hard. So I have a better chance of stopping his bridge by having more hip pressure. Even Zach, same thing. I'm gonna get more hip pressure by head up. Okay, now sometimes as you're falling, you might post your head in a way of like having base. What if they are stubborn about knee? What if they're stubborn about keeping both hands tight to the neck? Great question. So now, that's good. Let's talk about that. The person does this. They put both hands around the neck. Sometimes they might grab their collars. Sometimes they don't grab their collars. Okay? What's the feeling about this? My feeling is not to submit them, but to create a little bit of discomfort. So I would start with bringing my hand around and placing a little frame right here on the neck. Just that. Just to bug a little bit. Like, how does it feel? Just a little pressure, framing the neck is my first thought. What's your movement, Zach? Boom. Now my chest is behind his arm. Now I got twisting arm control. So, because you do that again, cover up. It's not, you can see how, right? It's not the best idea for him in terms of, can you defend your neck again, do that again? But not give me the twisting arm control. Do you understand? So as I go down, maybe he kind of let go, put your elbow down, elbow, like that. Maybe there might be a little bit of like this, but then not this, when he senses me lowering my chest. So cover your neck. So then I bring my hand around and I turn his face. And now I can kind of boop, boop, and get my chest behind it. So I would not focus too much on putting hands in collars if their whole focus is stopping the hand from inserting the collar. I would be more arm, chest, pressure, and grab. And remember, they're only doing that because they're scared. And they're scared of that cross choke. So lay off of it for a little while and give other things for them to worry about, and then come back to the choke when it makes sense. Okay? And you talked about being able to choke without a deep hand on the collar. How shallow can the hands, one hand, both hands? Yeah, only you will know how shallow you can go and still be effective. You got to play that game. I know where my grips can be, but everybody's different. And what can you do if you have one hand deep, one hand 30%, or it has to be 50, or it's got to be, one hand, can one hand be 80 and one be 50? I have no idea. That's for you to explore with an actual neck. But if I had to tell you what I feel comfortable with, is one hand is solid, and the second hand right now is about, what do you think, Zach? How far is this in?
It's got like knuckles in.
No, but how far? Is it 100% in?
No.
50?
Probably 30.
30! That's what I was going to say. It feels like 30, 40% in, and I feel okay. See that? In terms of, meaning right here would be nothing still. Nothing. 5, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40, 50%, 60, 70, 80. So considering from 1 to 100, I can go about 30% of the way in, and I feel very good, which is quite new, right? Most people believe you gotta have both hands very deep, but it's not the case. Understanding wrist rotation is probably more important. Arm triangle and mounted triangle that we did yesterday. Let's do those real quick. Yes, as the gi loosens up, life gets better. So neck hug, or attack his neck, drop your elbow. As he reaches around, I slide my knee up, I hug his neck, and I hold here. Now he's got his hand hidden. I swim through, and I kind of open this up, place my knee here, grab his wrist. Now bump me off to your right, Zach. Boom, he's gonna wanna bump that way. That's the movement. Now, why is that tough? Bump again. Because my heel, see this? It catches here. And this space. I'm not sitting on Zach. I'm kind of floating. My elbow's on my thigh. I got his neck, bump, bump, and I control. Bump harder. Oh. See that? That's the game. And then from here, what? Step on his bicep, change hands on his head. Look where my arm is. Not too wide. Bring your arm inside. Go back. Bring it inside. You see that? There's a little energy here. And now my foot, boom, shoot the neck, grab the shin, hand out for base. Lock the triangle, arm across and triangle by sitting back, or grab it and arm bar. So full mount. You can go up. Yep, I'm by myself now. On our knees, we're on our knees. Put your left hand, or put one hand in, grab the collar and drop the elbow down like a paper cutter across the neck. They reach up around the backside. What do? Slide your knee up next to your elbow. And now grab under their neck and put your elbow on your thigh on top right here. It's very common people leave the elbow on the ground. No deal, not as comfortable. From here, my leg is up. Now my hand pins their wrist to the ground. Or I swim through and I pry their arm up and I bring my knee inside. And then I grab the wrist and then I go back to my leg up. Whatever you gotta do to get the person's hand to the ground. When they bump you that way, boom, your heel. Get this heel connect. Let your heel hook, boom, so you don't fall. The last thing you want is to put your hand out because then you lose head control. Little bump, boom. And now I step on the bicep. Watch. Change hands on the head. As I lift it, I shoot my leg deep. Watch my hands, switch, boom. Grab the shin, drop to your elbow, lock the triangle, go to your knees. Now that you're on your knees, you can drop your hips and squeeze, or sit up, grab their arm, and arm bar. The most difficult part about this whole move right here, I would say 3 parts are the most difficult. One is getting the arm isolated. Thumb in the collar, everybody's elbow down, paper cutter. Once they overreact, slide your knee up. Once their arm is out, that's 1. Now hold the head in control. Pinning the wrist should be on the easier side, even though it's tricky. Number 2 is keeping your balance right here. They're gonna bridge you, your hook catches. Be on your knee like this, fall a little bit, but do an imaginary catch as I'm holding your wrist. And now the most difficult part is what? Is stepping on the bicep. So your knee, my knee's on the outside, foot on the bicep. So this step, whatever you gotta do I'm holding your wrist, step on the bicep. Change hands on the head. Pick the head up, shoot the leg, switch hands. Boom, grab your shin. As I fall to my elbow, I lock my triangle, go back to my knees. Locking the triangle can be easy. Stepping on the bicep. Because once you get on the bicep, you don't have to be any more flexible to finish. It's pretty much a clear path from there. But getting to the bicep can be tricky. So you can do like those stretches like this, right? Stuff like this. These kind of hip. Same as from the guard, you're going to be a helpful way to sit. Whether you do it sitting down or whether you do it kind of laying down right here. All right, arm triangle from the mount. Zach is down. We also discussed, I didn't say it, but if his hand is very close to his body, I can just boom and go over the top, right? We talked about that too. That's kind of a direct shot. But now arm triangle, we discussed if I have a neck hug and I underhook his arm. And this was mentioned as a great control strategy a few weeks ago. Zach wants to frame my face. Go ahead. Boom, I don't let him. Because don't you want to frame my face? What do you want to do to get out of here? What would you think about doing to free your arm? Point. No, not you, Zach. Okay. You, Zach, without jiu-jitsu. Or not without jiu-jitsu, without Eddie Gracie mindset. What would you do?
I'd probably try to push.
He'd try to bump a little bit, push a little bit, and then eventually he sees that my head is up, frame my neck. Don't let him. Now stop trying. Stop trying to frame my neck. Stop trying. Stop. Now when he tries again, I let him. Now what do you want to do? I move my hand and I extend my arms a little bit. Pull your elbow down, Zach. You can't. If I go too high, pull, you're gone. Go back. So I'm just enough. Pull it down. Can't. Now my bottom hand, look at this. Grabs his tricep, pull down. Try more. What would you do from here? There's not many options. Now when he relaxes, the top arm, drop him. Here, hold, hips up, knee slice, and then I melt low. On our knees. Favorite arm triangle for the last 2 years, year and a half before COVID hit. 1 year and a half with this triangle all day. Neck hug, underhook the arm. You would normally have your hooks in, but not right now. No hip pressure. Walk the hand up, walk it up. Now the person wants to frame your neck. Just lower your head, but don't let them frame it. And then pick your head back up. This time when they frame it, you move your hand to a little bit in, the underhooking arm. And now I straighten up. like 50%, 70% up. From here, my bottom hand grabs their tricep. And now the person's arm is right here next to your head. Your top arm is keeping their arm up. What do? You chill. When they relax, you jump, block it, drop your head behind it. Palm to palm. Now I pick up my hips and I slice my knees to the side. Okay? If I'm on this side, I am outside the person's arm that I pushed across. I want to be over here, my body. Again, on our knees, full mount, hands and knees down, and here I am, I hug the neck. From the neck hug, underhook the arm, walk the hand up. The first time they want to frame your face, don't let them. Just go like this, boom, drop your head. It won't take long before they see that as an opportunity, and you stop it. As if you don't want it. What's that called?
Bait.
It's like the ultimate sell. It's like a salesman strategy. I want them to buy it. I want them to frame it. But when they go for it, I say no. No. Like, you won't like this car. It's too fast. That kind of statement. And then it's baiting, yes. And then eventually you let them. You let them in. You let them buy it. And then when they buy it, you move your hand and you, boom, go up a little bit. Bottom hand, hold the tricep. And then be there, hold. 4 seconds, 7 seconds. They chill. Tricep drop. Boom, head down, hold. Head low, hips up, knee slice, and melt. Oh. Good review. Okay. Americana arm lock from the mount. Americana arm lock is neck hug, pin the person's wrist to the ground. Okay? When you pin someone's wrist down, they're gonna bend their arm. When they bend their arm, you grab your own wrist. When I hold my own wrist extended, I secure it for a moment. When he chills, I hand off his wrist, come underneath and grab my own. From here, I can have a choice. I can remove the thumb, loop the arm around the head, or I can lift his elbow, drop my head behind it, hold palm to palm, hips up, and slice. So another way into the arm triangle, as well as reviewing the Americana arm lock, which most of you guys know. So full mount. Look how good. It's good to have a gi nearby. Even though maybe you prefer no gi more. Here I am, because it's not gi or no gi. This is the person. I'm not holding their gi, I'm holding their wrist. Neck hug, wrist pin. And now as they bend it, bend the arm and grab your own wrist under their neck. And then you chill here a couple of seconds. When they relax, you hand off the wrist. Thumb full grip. And now my second hand comes underneath and I grab my own wrist. Now I have a choice. Remove my thumb and loop the arm around the head and squeeze, or go back, lift my elbow, and then I would imagine the elbow going a little higher, and dip your head on the other side. Once you do that, you release everything and you hold palm to palm. And now hips up, knees slide across, and arm triangle. Very simple move, but it's very good because you're able to have good mount control throughout, right? Anytime, things that help your mount control are what? Neck hugs and wrist pins. So look, we have two right now. We have a wrist pin and a neck hug. Again, on your knees. Back to your knees, full mount. Knees on the ground, hugging the neck. I push the person's wrist away. I don't bring their wrist in. No, I stay here. They don't like me holding it. As they want to free it, they move it and then I hand it off. Boom. I give it to the other hand. Now my second hand comes underneath, grab my own wrist. Once I grab my own wrist, I can remove my thumb from their wrist and loop the arm around the head and squeeze, or keep it back around the head, or lift my elbow. And I do this when the person holds my arm with their other hand. If they hold my arm and I can't loop it around, that's the best time to lift the elbow and then move my head on the outside. Once my head is down, I let go of their wrist and I hold my own palm. Hips up, knee slice, and then I melt low. Good. Any questions on that arm lock? Americana arm lock? Or, no, we're good? Okay, let's do this now. Everybody sit on your hip like this, okay, and throw the leg back. See that? Let the leg fly. So sit on your hip and your leg throws and comes back. Throws and comes back. That's the one, yep. If you have a hand on the ground, it's okay. Or you can be up like this and touch and come back. And then the other side, and I throw and I come back. 2 more. There you go. So now Zach's laying down and we go for the Americana arm lock from 0. Boom, just paint it down. But as we do, he reaches through to grab his wrist to bring it back. So we'll use the Americana arm lock threat as a means to get him onto his side. And this works best when the person is like very much, remember that collar person? This is like arms all day. So then I'm here and I go, boom, now he reaches, right, there you go. And then I go, whoop, and I grab and I hug. So it's not the kind of move that you catch on somebody too many times, because eventually they figure out that their overreaction to your push is exposing their elbow. But I would like all of us to play with being here upright and both my hands push someone's arm down. As I push the arm down, watch my other leg. Invert my other leg. Yes, again. So both hands push the arm and leg up. Good. Now from here, can you kind of establish good fists on the ground and let your back leg fly? It can be tricky for your groin. It can be a tough stretch. So don't do it if you don't feel comfortable. Instead, you would do this. You would push it, leg up, and then using your hands, you would sit into that stretch from earlier, and then you would spin from here. Less chance of tearing something. Knees down, hands down. If you have a, yes, both hands push, leg up, and then spin. Yeah. It is no doubt what you want to work towards. Pushing, legs up, and leg spin. Other side. Pushing, leg up, and leg spin. Be gentle, be careful with your arms, right? When you pin, leg up. Be careful you don't knee your own arm. Arm up, arms, leg. Just be careful where you place this. Make sure that my hips don't run into my own elbow. Boom, and spin. Last one. Last one. Here, both hands pin, leg up, and spin. Now go ahead and lay on your backs and be a little tense right here. And then imagine your arm getting pushed down. You're seeing it happen in front of your eyes. So you go like this, you turn and you grab it. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 arm. You see that? That's the game. That's the reality. You get your arm pushed and you do this. And then, boom, the arm gets taken. Instead, when your arm gets pushed down, boom, what should you do? Nail it to the ground and then slide it down close to your body. But I shouldn't even say should. It's not what you should do. It's what's a little safer and doesn't allow for the big spin in the arm lock. But it does allow for them to potentially get sneaky and try to get under the Americana. But the Americana is an easier submission to defend than a straight arm lock, I believe. Sometimes people defend the Americana by reaching their other arm up and grabbing the locked arm. Yeah, so what you're talking about is people sometimes, when I have this, their other hand reaches up, so I have to grab it and pull it around, yes. So I don't think of a triangle, but we do teach that also, right? To kind of extend your arm north. So reach up and grab your hand, and then as you pull it, now as I turn like this, he could bring it around and kind of pull his elbow down and back and through. So it is a little annoying, and the triangle is not something that I feel like I can jump into, or an arm triangle. I would maybe try to slide my knee up behind their arm and go for a straight arm lock. But in general, if they have a quick response to the arm being pinned, and their response is to extend and reach and pull it around, I kind of want to respect that and allow it. I'm not too attached to making a move like the Americana happen, because it is pretty difficult from the mount. And that's what you're asking, is there something you can transition into from that? And that would be my only thought, would be an arm lock. If I'm here and Zach reaches the arm north, I kind of whoop, you see that? I kind of slide my knee up, and now I'm kind of in this high arm lock angle, which requires a fair amount of putting your weight somewhere so your legs can slide quickly and get behind his tricep as fast as possible to occupy the space so he can't pull that elbow back to freedom. Good question. Do you keep the thumbs when you go for the arm triangle instead of the Americana, or do you take the thumbs off? When you go for the arm triangle, you are using, maybe, doesn't matter what your grips are, but you do lift up, drop your head behind, and then you hold palm to palm. So, whether you have thumbs or not, I don't think it matters too much. I would say I'm still using my thumbs because I never felt like I was able to loop the arm around the head. So I would still be in my original thumb full grip. Thumb, I lift it, head drops. But again, that's minor. Whatever works for you is good. Okay. So what is it from you guys? Just kind of type in start typing in any submissions that you have the most trouble with from the mount. Just from my understanding, for tomorrow, for Thursday, for Friday, if you have something in mind that, like, man, I know this move, but I can never make it happen. Something that you're having a hard time finishing. If you feel comfortable, you don't have to write anything. Ezekiel. But if there's one move that's not quite happening for you, if you write it, it kind of puts it in my mind. It's what we can add some insight for you guys tomorrow and the next day. Ezekiel, not falling off head over first during the collar chokes. Got it, so better hooks on the collar chokes. More Ezekiel. Cross chokes, because I end up accidentally pulling their gi over their head. That's interesting. Rat trap is not quite from the mount, but it could be. High mount arm lock. Finishing arm triangles, yes. I agree, Adrian, it's very common. Good. Anything else? So, one thing to consider, like whatever submission it is that you are having a hard time finishing, assuming that the part that you're having a hard time with is going through all the steps, not something that you can't quite find the right squeeze, but the steps are difficult. Sometimes approaching it from the other direction, meaning allowing yourself to get caught in it 10, 20, 30 times, feeling the submission can maybe do a lot for your understanding of the submission and therefore your application of that technique. So, for example, an arm lock from the mount, or wrist locks, or an Ezekiel choke. Kind of almost acting like you're trying to defend it, but just playing in the position and watching people do the Ezekiel choke on you and feeling it firsthand is not the most comfortable way to become effective at the Ezekiel choke or whatever it may be, but it is pretty effective. And the same goes for a sweep. There's a sweep that you really like, but I can't make the sweep work. So maybe someone out there is effective at it, and then you let them do it to you 10, 20 times, and then you start to notice small things. Are they putting their weight on your chest to do the Ezekiel more, to make their arms light, right? Are they controlling, are they angling their head further to get more angle for the sweep? And you watch these things and you just compare yourself to somebody else who's already understood that movement. But either way, I like seeing what you guys wrote, and we'll have more discussions tomorrow. So have a great night. Thank you, and keep up the great work. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, bro. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Jimmy Payne! Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, guys.